Award-winning writer. His latest book, Saints of the Shadow Bible, is in stores now. Please welcome the great, talented, some would say Scottish, Ian Rankin, everybody. Ian Rankin. Welcome, Ian, welcome. It is great to finally have you here. Look, I am on page about 300 and something of this book, so I would rather not talk about it.
Yeah.
Because you know what happens, right?
I've kind of forgotten by now.
Really? Do you actually forget?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, I've written a lot of books, and the readers know them much better than I do.
I was going to ask you about that, because you create a character in a world like John Rebus, who's kind of like... He's the Sherlock Holmes of contemporary Edinburgh, right? He places a detective in a time, in a town, and it's, I mean, really a very interesting, dark, twisted world of lots of different people. You forget, and people think they own it, right?
Well, they do. I mean, Rebus becomes real to them.
Right.
Much more so than I am. I mean, they worry about him much more than they worry about me. You know.
I never used to worry about you, but I'm beginning to worry about you a little bit now.
You should. I've got a bad back, actually.
Really? I had a sinus infection a while ago.
I heard about that.
Oh!
You know what I did? You know what I did last night? I flew into LA, got into my hotel room, was leaning over the bed to unpack, and I sneezed. and my back went.
Yeah. Welcome to the aging process. Shut your face!
Speaking of aging...
Yes?
You know, you've got TARDIS there, the police box.
Yeah.
You know the guy who's playing him now?
Yes, the new Doctor, Peter Capaldi. He was the singer in the Dream Boys, the band I was in.
Have you seen this?
I have not.
This is a book of photographs of Scottish bands through the ages.
Oh, my God.
And there's a picture there of a young drummer.
It's me right there.
A young drummer, yeah.
Right in the background.
And there's Capaldi.
That's
with a
the
paisley.
new Doctor Who.
And the drummer there, that's you.
Yeah. Look, see, by the way, don't go like that when you're pointing at me.
What?
But it's America, they don't like when you do stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. I've noticed that you're always very careful on your show never to upset people. It's one of the things I like about you.
I'm renowned for it.
Yeah. But look at Capaldi, there's a young man.
I know, he's the new Doctor Who. Do you follow Doctor Who at all?
Yeah, ish.
Yeah, I started...
it's a kid's show, right?
Yes,
really at heart.
Yes, it is, but it's very popular.
I know. And I will watch Capaldi in just about anything.
Do you know Peter?
I've met him a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I met him just before he was announced as a new Doctor Who. And I said to him, what are you up to? And he said, no, not much. And he knew.
Oh, yeah, but he couldn't tell you. Maybe you'd put it in a book.
Well, yeah, quite.
I know who the new Doctor Who is. Wait, how many Rebus books is this now?
I think that's number 19 or 20.
And Rebus is a functioning alcoholic, fair to say that?
Yeah, pretty much.
I could never function as an alcoholic, but I do remember guys like that. Sometimes even policemen who could... who could drink and still get through the day.
Well, I mean, the bar that he drinks in, which is a real bar in Edinburgh, the Oxford Bar, when I started drinking in there as a student, was full of cops. Lunchtime, evenings, and last thing at night, the Black Maria, the kind of big van, would turn up with police on the side and operate as a taxi to get them all
Take all the drunk cops home?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened to me by accident.
That's right. It wasn't... You thought it was a dumpster.
They thought I was a drunk cop. Then I was just left there at the end.
But you know, you were talking about the Loch Ness Monster earlier.
Yes.
And, I was up Loch Ness a couple of weeks ago. It is an incredible place.
Very dark.
I mean, but the way the kind of water is very choppy, and you often think you've seen something.
Do you believe in the Loch Ness Monster?
No, of course not. Of course not. But I believe in people's right to believe in the Loch Ness Monster. I mean, you know, I make a living making stuff up and making people believe that stuff could actually happen. So
right.
Of course, I like things. Lizzie Borden is terrific because there's no... It's an ongoing mystery. You know, you can have a theory that's...
Not according to Christina Ricci, who is convinced that she did it.
Well, yeah, I know, which kind of spoils the film a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. By the way, don't talk to me about the end of this book.
No,
All right. Now, you and I have a mutual friend in Lawrence Block, Larry Block, the crime writer out of New York. He's a really good crime writer, too.
Yeah, he was...
Did you ever call each other for, like...
He was in Edinburgh, well, maybe 6 months ago, and we met up. The first time I remember really meeting him was I was living in southwest France in an old derelict farmhouse, and we'd been writing letters to each other. Remember those days?
Yesterday, yeah.
Remember those days? Writing letters to each other, and he said, "I'm coming to Paris." And I said, "Okay, I'll come up to Paris." And we didn't have much money. I said to my wife, "Is it okay if I use some of our money to go to Paris, hotel for the night, go out for dinner with Larry?" Of course, at that time, I didn't realise that he was an alcoholic, so he wouldn't be drinking.
Yeah.
And he's also a vegetarian.
Yeah.
So I was in Paris.
Yeah.
With a guy who couldn't drink and couldn't eat meat.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't the best.
I have to be honest, he is my friend, but he's no cracking fun at all.
No, it wasn't. And if you're watching, Larry.
No, he writes some very twisted characters, much like yourself. And I'm interested in this new character that you're writing, who's the kind of the opposite of Rebus, the kind of Fox character, who is like the anti-Rebus, the kind of sober, meticulous company man.
Yeah, I mean, it's internal affairs, and having retired Rebus a few years ago, I still wanted to write about cops, and I talked to someone who was in internal affairs, and I thought, what a really interesting setup, because everybody hates them.
Right, yeah, cops
hate them, villains hate them because they're cops. They operate almost like spies. They have a surveillance operation going on. They can sit for months, years, putting together a case against a bent cop, and they've got to work really closely as a team, and I thought, these are the guys who would be investigating Rebus. So if I write about these guys, nobody can think I'm writing about Rebus with a different name. So it was just a way of doing a very different kind of policeman. And then I found a way to bring the two of them
in, because the world kind of expands into itself.
Yeah.
And this one takes place in the background of the struggle or the debate or the argument or the whatever's going on with Scottish independence.
Yeah.
Which is like when I was over there at Christmas, nobody talks about anything else.
I know.
It's like, oh God, really?
I see you managed to escape that by taking American citizenship, right?
Well, the way I feel about it a little bit, I mean, I became an American citizen anyway, but also I feel like I live here, so it's not really it's not my fight. So, of course I have an opinion on it, but I haven't made that public. Do you have a public opinion on it?
No, I mean, the thing I always say is Rebus would vote no, his sidekick Siobhan would vote yes, and I'm right in the middle. I'm still to be persuaded.
Right. I think there's a...
So I escape it by talking about fictional characters and how they would relate to it.
And I escape it by being evasive and being partially fictional myself.
Yes.
When I go back to Scotland, I get a very hard time about having changed my accent. Is my accent very different?
No.
Could be a sinus infection, remember?
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually amazed that the audience are getting any of your jokes.
They're not.
I mean, you still sound you sound very
reasonably Scottish, I think. Yeah, but there's a lot of, did you come home to visit your accent? Yeah, bastard. And that's just my family.
But that's how Scots say that they like each other.
It kind of is,
I remember taking a friend of mine into the Oxford bar one night, and these two old guys were swearing at each other non-stop. And his friend, who was English, said, "Why are they swearing at each other?" I said, "Because they like each other."
Yeah.
And one of them then turned to us, and my friend, the English guy, let out a stream of abuse to the guy, and then I thought there was going to be a fight, because you're only allowed to swear at each other if you know each other really well.
That's right, yeah.
If a stranger tries it, the cap comes off, the jacket comes off, fisticuffs.
Oh, it's bad. Well, there you are then. We're out of time.
Oh no, I've come all this way and we're out of time.
But the thing is, now this book, the sales are going to skyrocket. Over 10 more will sell.
And this book.
That book is very interesting to me. A book of photographs of people that many of whom I may have slept with.
If only you could remember.
Yeah. Oh, I remember some of them. And they remember me. Were you ever in the punk rock business? Were you ever in that game?
I was a vocalist in a punk rock band called the Dancing Pigs. The Dancing Pigs were the second best punk band in Fife.
The Skids, the Dancing Pigs.
Yeah, that's what they were. But in one of the Rebus novels, Black and Blue, I did a huge kind of U2 type band to be doing a Greenpeace gig.
Yeah, that's right.
And I made it the Dancing
Pigs. That's right.
So that in the fictional universe, they became huge. In the real world, they lasted 6 months and then broke up acrimoniously.
That's a proper punk rock band right there.
That's a proper punk rock band right there.
Yeah.
And the guitarist got in touch recently and said to me that he had recordings of us. So I'm now negotiating to have those destroyed.
Yeah. Because you're singing on them.
Yes, well, not singing, vocalist.
Well, it wasn't any of that punk poetry or anything, was it?
There was a wee bit of poetry.
Oh, man! Never do poetry, it'll come back and haunt you.
I know.
Yeah.
But when I
Tips
was
for writers.
But when I was a teenager, I thought this was the way to get girls.
It was.
The way to get girls was to be a poet. Didn't work out that way for me.
You should have been a drummer. Apparently.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, we're out of time. Well, welcome to America. Congratulations on the continuing success of John Rebus, the most dysfunctional detective in the Edinburgh force. It's all changing now, though, Edinburgh and Scotland and the police force. It's all Scotland police now.
It's all changed.
Yes.
Come back next year and find out what happens.
I might.
Post-independence.
Well, we'll see. I'll come back wearing a Stetson and chewing gum.
And we will need your dollars.
Ian Rankin, everybody. We'll be right back.